How do you manage Matthew?
Matthew's fine. He just trained with us today. We've obviously, between ourselves and the union, looked to manage his injury as best we can. Matthew believes his injury is a lot better than it was the first time he came back, and he's trained really well today, so we're really pleased with that.
He's taking full part and everything that you want?
He is, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Will
he start? Have you been asked to start?
I've been asked to give him 40 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll give him 40 minutes.
Must have been frustrating for him, obviously, because he obviously came on and played that Wasps game and he looked as if he was going to be fine for Twickenham.
Yeah, it was a shame, really. I was really pleased with the way he came back, considering he'd been out for a couple of weeks, well, more than a couple of weeks. But he did pick up a bit of a niggly injury in the game against Wasps, and as a result of it, he couldn't really train that week. So it was a shame, but as I say, I think he's back stronger than he was when he first came back now. So he's very pleased himself with the way it's recovered.
Must be nice to have two guys like that, one pushing the other.
Absolutely brilliant, but also very important for the ambitions of this region, that we have two quality players in such a key position. And I think we're striving really to make sure that we have that competition right throughout the squad, and it's getting better in those terms. But to have two players like Matthew and Ken in particular, who offer slightly different games, and I felt that the way that we'd used them in the first part of the season worked really well for us, in terms of starting with Matthew, who's got a lot of experience, a real physical edge about him, exceptionally good in the set piece, and then having the opportunity to bring someone like Ken on to really energise and bring a great ball carrying game onto the field with him. So it's a great combination to have.
People are recognising what Matthew now does for a team. What do we have with Ken?
Well, Ken's obvious attributes are his work rate and his energy. He's got a natural power that certain players carry, and Ken is one of those players. His ball carrying is superb. His work rate, if you actually view his line in a match, is phenomenal. He gets through a huge amount of work, and what's been improving with him as well is his set piece. I think his line-up work has been well documented, but also his scrum game is improving, and that's an area that he has needed to improve, and it is getting better with him.
Will lift him a bit this week, because obviously there had been a disappointment that he didn't get on.
I wouldn't have thought so. I think he'd be more frustrated than anything else, and he'd want to prove that maybe he should have had the opportunity. So no, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all.
Clock's ticking now, Nigel. I'm supposed to the end of the season, 7 games left. How important is this game?
It's hugely important. We're not hiding from it. It's exceptionally important. We just have to win this game. I was hugely frustrated with our last performance against Leinster, not really because of the manner of the performance, but because we let a game slip through our hands, really, that we were in control of, that we had plenty of opportunities to finish off. And we're at a funny stage with the majority of this group, is that they are a young group, but we've got to make that transition now, and the lessons need to be learnt, and there are some lessons that we're not learning. There are some areas of our game that we're not improving, and there's a slight bit of frustration from my point of view and the rest of the coaches as a result of that, and it's why we're not winning games at the moment. There's plenty about us. We've got good structure, I think. We've got some good individual players, and there's a good intent, but we're not winning matches.
What are those areas? Obviously there's chances went back in there.
Well, part of it is that we're not actually identifying those opportunities and being accurate in executing them. A lot of it is coming down to something that's quite simple, really, which is communication, but very difficult for a lot of the boys in the group to actually step up to the mark with. And I keep on preaching to them about it's very difficult when you're on the ball to make a decision or to pick your head up, whereas if the guys outside you can make that decision for you, you're able to deal and manage with things better. But we still struggle with our communication as a group, and it's massive for us at the moment. And it's frustrating to think that there's so much in our game, yet something as seemingly simple as communication is lacking, and therefore doesn't allow us to win matches that we should be winning.
How do you manage the situation now, Nigel? Because obviously people want your players to focus on what's in front of them, but they will be thinking about the possibility of not being in Europe and all that kind of stuff. How do you manage that? Because that will ultimately be a burden that they will start to carry if they don't, and that can affect their performances, obviously.
Yeah, we've not gone down that route at all. We've just focused on the games that we played and the games that we've got coming up. We've been very frustrated, as I said, because we haven't got the results that we probably deserve to get if we'd have been more clinical. We were in a similar situation last season where we were playing against the Blues and against Ulster here. We had to win those matches to secure Europe. And the one message that kept on coming across from me was that we don't stop playing our game. You know, we don't hide. That's the worst thing that could happen. And we turn up in the right frame of mind, ready to win a game of rugby. And that's the challenge with this young group, I think, is that if they're 1% off, if they don't quite believe in it, it can affect them. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm the guy who fronts it up. We won't stop playing rugby, and we won't try playing the style of rugby that we want to. And if we do that, I'm confident that we'll be where we need to be.
Ulster, what do you expect from them? Because they're a team that probably where you were or where you are now. A couple of years ago, they kind of built.
Yeah, they're doing very well. Been very impressed with their performances. That they started slowly in the Magners, but they've really picked their game up. One thing about them as well, they played a bit of rugby, which is great to see. There's a bit of intent about what they're trying to do. Got some good players in some key positions, a couple of good wingers. And it looks like they have a strong academy. I saw the young full-back who played for them against Dragons. He was an exceptional player, in fairness to him. So they've got a very strong squad that they've built up. They're very ambitious moving forward as their recruitment drive is starting to show.
Talking very quiet in terms of signings, is anything going to happen? Still dealing with financial constraints?
No, we're on top of most of the financial issues at the moment. We've sort of bottomed out, and it's a period of consolidation before we now move forward.
Are you talking to people, Nigel?
Yeah.
Talking is one thing.
Talking to lots of people, but it's surprisingly tough. I think one would expect that market values would have maybe gone downwards, but certainly not for your top high-end quality players. And from where I'm coming from, we've been in the market before of sort of average type overseas players, and they haven't brought anything with them. What we've got to do when we bring people in is make sure they're the right quality, like David Lyons, like the Sean Lamont, who have been great signings over the last 2 seasons for us, and they've set the standard by which we will judge everybody else by.
Are you seeing more players on the market now, just because obviously the financial considerations? England look like they've projected seeing a lot of players at the moment. Yeah,
there are lots of players on the market, but as I say, they're not always of the quality you have. And when you're looking at a player who's maybe marginally better than a player that you've got, but maybe double the price, it's just not value for money. And we believe we can get more out of our local talent anyway.
Southern Hemisphere players then, because of the World Cup, I'd imagine that's hard work, isn't it? Because they wouldn't want to leave.
No, I wouldn't have thought there's going to be very many of the top-end Southern Hemisphere players around. There are some names out there who maybe not playing international rugby at the moment, but again, you've got to tread very carefully with some of those.
Tony mentioned David Jones's injury earlier and probably won't be available this week.
No.
Munster.
No, yeah.
Possibility for Munster or not?
Yeah, well, the estimates at the moment are sort of mid-March. But how accurate that is, I'm not sure really. I think we're judging it differently every week really. So frustrating for him, unfortunately.
But when you do like the Ospreys game is the second or
April, yeah. Good Friday.
Then you go Europe then.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose we've been fortunate in we've carried quite a lot of back row forwards, and it's given Rob McCusker his opportunity. Josh has had his opportunity. We've got even Aaron Shingler, who we see moving forward as a 6, who can go into that role. So it's an area that we're well blessed with.